Welcome to Tom's Diner, a Cyberpunk TCG podcast. I'm Dodd.
I'm Andy.
This is episode 4, and we're going to talk about the as-yet unrevealed powers on the Legends in the Bay Box. We decided to split it up into 2 groups so that this isn't an hour long. So we're doing the blue and green ones today. Since we last recorded, Wakako was revealed, so she's in the blue stack. So all the ones that don't have their powers already identified, including Wakako, we're going to talk about blue and green today. Our next episode will be red and yellow. I'm almost certain, in fact, that we're going to get another reveal, probably a fixer, before we record again.
So can we just go back in the past a little bit when I said, well, clearly the 4 unreleased Legends are going to be the fixers that are out there.
And I pushed back on that.
No.
On the grounds that there are way more than 4, so how do you narrow it down?
I'm just getting that on the record so that when I'm wrong about literally every other piece of rampant speculation that I have, that we can remember this one thing that I was right about.
Well, when you said that and we just had El Capitan, I was like, well, there's Dino, who gives you 5 gigs. There's Regina, who gives you 23 gigs plus 17 Cyber Psychos to go after. There's Padre, I think he gives you 11. Wakako gives you 8, but she's also directly involved in the main story. And then El Capitan, he's not as important until Phantom Liberty when he has a whole separate quest line.
Yeah, so I think we were both a little bit surprised that he was one of them, since I think the established plan is that the next set will focus on Phantom Liberty.
And then you have Mr. Hands, who gives you 1, maybe 2, I can never remember which, in the main story. It is very important in Phantom Liberty. And you have Dakota out in the Badlands, who gives you like 11. So if we're going to speculate, since 1 will probably be revealed within 48 hours of this episode going up.
So far we have El Capitan and Wakako, right? So we have 2 left.
And they're yellow and blue.
Okay.
So I think we'll get all 4 colors. I think the next one will be Regina, and she will be green. And the last one will be Padre, and he will be red.
Yeah, not to be boring, but yeah, that's what I would say also.
Because Dakota's the
I'll say that they're going to do Padre first in red, and then
just so we have something to
yeah.
Regina is your most important fixer, given she gives you 40 total jobs to do, plus Skippy, and I just can't imagine her being anything other than green. So that leaves Padre to be red, and Padre being the man of the Lord who praises Jesus whenever you shoot somebody for him, fits in red.
And he is also one of the pledge levels in the Kickstarter.
The one that I backed, in fact. Right. So that's our speculation about the 2 left of the mystery ones. Another thing that they announced on the last live stream with the official podcast was that they will be revealing some new cards and discussing the color tree in their next episode, which should come out right about the same time this episode does. So we're going to have to cram in a couple of episodes real quick to finish this project and talk about that. Finally, on the near horizon, we don't know exactly how far, they're going to make some adjustments to the rules. The one thing I really, really want to see, and I'm agreeing here with KP Cyberpunk, who I heard talk about this first, but I couldn't argue with, is that I want to see them relax the play phase. Because being required to play and then attack and not have the flexibility to do things in the order you want. Obviously, the start phase being roll, draw, ready, whichever order those happen in. And they couldn't even agree on the live stream which order they happen in. That's fine, right? But once you get to the phase where you play and attack and call legends, sell cards. So maybe you're going to sell a card once, but you should be able to do it in any order you want.
Well, especially in a game that has a timer, 7, 8 turns, having some flexibility and being able to bait out responses from the limited interaction you're going to have from your opponent on your turn, or wondering, do I need to commit this unit to block now? What might they be playing later? I think that's more interesting than saying, do everything sort of, to show our age here, Game of Thrones LCG style, which is do all of this, then do all of that, then do all of this. That rigidity doesn't really add any clarity. It adds more confusion, actually, because you do a thing and then you want to do the follow-up to it naturally to say, I put this gear on this character, I want to attack with it. Oh, wait, I did that too soon. Now if I do that, I can no longer play a card and I've lost 4 resources, and that's just a lot of negative play experience without really any added benefit.
Making this change accomplishes 2 goals I know they want to accomplish. It makes an easier transition for a new player who doesn't have to keep this rigid order in play, because they might naturally do exactly what you're talking about. You'll want to do things and then be locked out. And it adds a level of complexity that you just described to experienced players, in that I can do something and see how you react. And then, as KP pointed out, there's cards like Atom Smasher is much more useful if you can attack before you play him, because then you get the value of the cards you already have in play. But if you have to play him and then you don't get an attack phase because he can't attack. So that's the one I mainly want to see. I think the rest will just be smoothing over hard edges, but here's hoping they do that one. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I hope so too.
All right, on to the main topic, which is we're going to do the blue and green as yet unrevealed powers. We're going to guess, like we did in our second episode, what they are. I'll let you go first each time this time. So I think I went first last time.
Oh, okay, sure.
I'll just read them off in the order I have on my sheet. And the first one I have is David Martinez, Built Different, Blue.
Yes. So to me, the flavor text for these characters is really what's driving a lot of my conjecture on abilities. Actually, a little bit less so with David Martinez than some of the other ones, but I wanted to mention that. The ability that I came up with for David is when an opponent steals one or more gigs, remove David from the game to prevent the theft of one of the gigs. So not a complete stopper, but where something like Alt Cunningham removes herself from the game to go find a program in your discard pile, having some way to potentially keep from being overrun, but at a cost of having to remove your legend.
Right. Well, likewise, I wanted to try to do my best to stick to the flavor of the character while also exploring the design space for things that could conceivably fit in it reasonably well. When we get to my Johnny Silverhand next episode, I'm going to be exploring a space that they're not going to touch for the next couple of sets at least, but is definitely something I would like to see in the game. I stuck straight to David's characterization in the anime with mine.
Insane and dead?
Well, why don't you hear me out?
Okay.
So my David is go solo, 5/7. On attack, choose up to 1 gear from your trash and attach it to this legend, paying its cost. Because that's his whole thing. He's built different because he can handle more cyberware than anybody else, right? That's why he's called Built Different. That's basically his catchphrase. The whole thing is I'm built different. If this legend ever has 5 or more gears attached to it, defeat it at the end of the turn. So you don't have to do it. It's up to 1, but it encourages you to push with guys with gear on it. It makes up maybe if one of yours get quick hacked and you lose a bunch of gears, and now you got David to come sweep it up again. But since he overdoes it at the end of the anime and gets himself killed doing it, there's a cap. And then if that's deemed too strong, the alternative would be 5/7 on call, choose up to 1 gear from your trash and attach it to this unit, and in that case not have to pay for it. So I thought that just captured David right there in a nutshell.
Yeah, thematically I think it's really cool. I think my concern is now you've created Pan Am Palmer 2.0. If you're able to go grab gear out of the discard pile when you attack, I think the number would have to be lower than 5, maybe 1, because I don't know how many times you're going to be able to attack with him 5 times to be able to get 5 on. Not that you couldn't put gear on him in a more traditional way, but if you've put 5 gear on him, you've probably already won the game by the time he dies.
Well, my thought was that if you've got a Pan Am thing going with him, or you're also paying to put gear on it, he's going to be gone on the 3rd turn. So he's self-limiting because he defeats himself if he overdoes it. I actually thought about 6, but I thought 5 will force you 1 turn to say I'm not going to add 1 to it.
Well, I think what you do in that, not specifically with him, but in anything where you're trying to Voltron up a unit, whether it's a Jackie Wells or something with Pan Am, is don't put blockers out early, let them steal some of your gigs, and that way when you're stealing 2, 3, 4, because your character has enough strength, that now you've got an influx of gigs there at the end.
You just got to hold out so you can do that. All right, moving on, I have Judy Alvarez, Braindance Maestro, Blue, next.
This is the most boring one that I came up with. Braindance programs cost 1 less to play. The reason I went that direction is that Male V Legend already goes and grabs a Braindance program. So it couldn't have been a tutoring ability to go find Braindance because that already exists. And in the same color wheel potentially as Alt and Evelyn Parker, having some continuity there of like finding Braindance, letting gigs get stolen, putting programs in the trash to feed Alt to come out later, has some synergy.
When I first started working on Judy, I wrote the exact power that's written on Evelyn because I didn't remember it was on there. Since we know she's going to be the centerpiece, mine's pretty boring too. We don't have enough flip abilities, so I put a couple in the set. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck, choose up to 1 Braindance program, put in your hand, trash the rest. Evelyn Parker, bottom decks. And with Street Kid B, seeding, discard pile, and so on. I think this is going to be a recursion deck is what it's building up to be, right? So
yeah, that is pretty much the same ability as Street Kid B, though. His is a defeated ability.
He's defeated, and he's pretty expensive.
Yeah, he's a 4 go solo.
But hers is a flip, and then she can be spent to choose a Braindance program from your trash and return it to your hand. So again, just feeding the recursion. Okay. When she flips, she gets to go pick one and possibly seed more. And then you got other people like Hanako seeding your discard pile. Then you should be able to build up a recursion deck pretty well. I have Lucy Kushinada, Fresh Beginnings, is my next one.
Yeah, so as far as we know, she doesn't have any written ability other than Overclock.
Yeah,
right? We've seen that. She's got a tag. So I went straight for what Overclock does in Cyberpunk, which is that you can use quick hacks without RAM. That's what Overclock does in Cyberpunk. You don't spend the RAM, you spend health instead.
So she would change your deck building rules?
Yes, you could include programs that are outside of your RAM restriction. Not your character, not units, just programs.
That is interesting. I don't think they'll ever do that, but but that's a very interesting idea. Mine is back to your boring. I thought overclocking means pumping up your ability to play programs. I want RAM. So mine is when you play a program, spend to reduce the cost of the played program by 2 to a minimum of 0 and draw a card. Feed programs, make them cheaper, and get card draw out of it. But she's going to do it once a turn.
So do you expect them to add text to her?
Yes.
Have they said that they're adding text to her? Or is that just a speculation that they might add text to her?
I'm assuming that she's going to actually get a power.
Okay. I was assuming that was her power, especially because she's a 0.
None of the other tags we've seen have a power associated with them. So I don't know what that overclocking would mean. So I just assume she's going to get some text.
Yeah, sure.
Next one I have on my list is Wakako Akado, Peace and Harmony, blue.
So my ability here, and sorry for being boring, I'm just trying to find things that have some utility in the game, is if no gigs were stolen from you the last turn, spend and draw a card. So just if you're not being infiltrated, if you're not having gigs stolen, then you're adding cards to your hand and giving yourself out. And that's the Peace and Harmony side.
Well, I went on Peace and Harmony as well in a very different direction to add something I think the game needs. Call, ready this legend. When your rival attacks, spend, flip this legend face down, still spent. Cancel the attack. The attacking unit remains spent.
Okay, that would be extremely powerful.
But you have to pay 2 every time you do it to get her back. Moving on to green, I have Jackie Wells, Mama's favorite.
Okay, so this one, for the stat line, I copied, once again, the B male street kid. The 4 cost, 3 strength, go solo with a defeated ability. So that was sort of my baseline of let's make it the same sort of structure as that. But then defeated, you may move a gear from this character to another friendly unit.
I've got one of my other cards has a similar power to that. I figured, okay, we've got Legend Jackie in blue that just sits there and increments your dice. We've got Unit Jackie that is a serious unit in the slang use of the term. We've discussed this before. I think that this game isn't the Game of Thrones uniqueness thing, but I could absolutely see them giving us a rule that you can only have one legend of the same. But since this game looks at things like T-Bug as being just units, because they're not unique enough. Anyway, I thought that one of these needs to be a go solo, and this one fits. So he's a go solo 5, 6 plus. If you have 10 plus street cred, this legend has +2 power and blocker. That sounds pretty Jackie to me.
Yeah, I just wanted to give him a defeated ability, and dying in a Delamain cab and giving you a shard seemed like the way to go.
That is very thematic. All right, last one is Hanako Arasaka, daughter of the Emperor, green.
I resisted the urge to just have her sitting off to the side, not doing anything for about 75 hours until I got around to using her. But I went through and saw we have Yorinobu and Saburo already. So we have 2 Arasaka legends. They both have tribal synergies. Yorinobu gives +1 for Arasaka units, and Saburo gives +1 to Arasaka units when attacking. Yeah. So my idea for her was to remove Hanako from the game to return an Arasaka unit from your discard pile into play. So direct recursion at the cost of a legend, just to be able to pull. If it's a blocker, great. If it's something that now potentially, even if it's a little bit lower costed, if you've got one of the other Arasakas in play, it now is +1, potentially +2. Just seems like it might be a fun playstyle.
Right on. Well, since she tells you she's supposed to be the heart, the daughter of the Emperor is the heart of things, I didn't want to do anything aggressive like Yorinobu and Saburo. And I didn't want to just copy her yellow unit ability. So I stayed in that theme. So it's call, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, reveal and sell up to 1 eligible card, bottom deck 1 card, and put 1 card on top of your deck. I really do think we need the ability to get extra cards cheated into our thing, so she would do that.
I'm just giggling because that's your go-to on everything is give me more cards to look at. Which,
yeah.
I mean, the game definitely needs the ability to add cards.
It absolutely does. and since these are the legends, I mean, we've got 2 more going to be revealed, and as far as I know, there aren't going to be any others in this set. We're already up to a rather large number. So the legends are the main place these powers are going to be manifested because they were consistently available, right? So that's why I put this stuff on there. And when we get to the next one, I've got another cheat ability on one of them too. So that's our speculation on what kind of powers might be appropriate for these blue and green legends.
Yeah, I have a feeling that I tend to be a lot more cautious, probably to the point of underpowering, and you just go, 0 to 100 on them. So,
dude, let me tell you something. Hanukkah was hard for me. But I also look at things like, to me, Street Kid V is extremely weak. I have to pay 6 to get him into play. And then he's only 3 strength.
Right.
And then to get his ability, I have to not only kill him, but to get him out to do that, I also have to give up an Eddie, which means he costs 6 plus -1 every turn to get that rather weak ability, and he doesn't even have any powers. Maybe when we see what the Brain Dense deck looks like, it'll be clear why they made him so weak. But to me, 6 plus a VIG of 1 every turn for that ability that only triggers when he's killed seems expensive. I mean, at the other end of the spectrum, we have stuff like Pan Am.
Yeah, and
They're
you have
all
to
in the same game. set of cards. So when I judge the power of my cards, I'm like, I want them to be on that curve, and I don't think any of my cards massively exceeds Panic. Maybe a couple of them go past her a little bit, but not insanely.
Yeah. Well, and I think, and not to keep beating the Street Kid here, but like you said, it's 2 to call, 4 to play him or her,
right.
6 total. And then you're either looking at Braindance as a side benefit that you're not that worried about, which is not likely because you put that legend in your deck to get access to Braindance, or you're trying to find a way to either hopefully take out a blocker, maybe, but if you take out the blocker, he's not being defeated, so then you're not getting the ability. It might help you take out a blocker, and then you can sacrifice him into something else the next turn, but then
it's crazy.
Your opponent's not going to want to attack him to take him out because he doesn't represent that strong of a threat. Sure, you can put gear on him, but it's a really interesting and difficult design space, I think, with some of the Go Solo legends to keep them from, you either make them insanely overpowered or you undercook them, and now you've got to figure out a reason to have them in your deck if they're not getting
something else they said on the last live stream. Creed strongly hinted that there are going to be gears that you want on legends that don't go solo, other than Panic, which suggests that they're going to have gear that are passive abilities you want to protect from being attackable.
Which is really exciting to me. I think that's great. That's a great design space.
These pistol can still get at them if they're 2 cost or less, but I'm excited about that, right? All right, so I think we've covered everything we wanted to cover, maybe a little bit more. We will be back to do the other unrevealed legends, possibly including an extra one. I think it'll be Regina. He thinks it'll be Padre because I think it's going to be Regina.
And I'll try to soup up some of my abilities so that I get laughed out of here.
All right, so let's go on to the Afterlife. You got a recommendation for us?
I do, as the regular book suggester here. A pretty obvious one here once you understand why, but one that a lot of people probably are not familiar with is the book Hardwired by Walter John Williams. They have a 30th anniversary version of it out right now, and it is the stated inspiration for Cyberpunk Red and the Cyberpunk RPG, which obviously led into Cyberpunk 2077. So you will see some direct inspiration. It's a pretty short read. It's like 275 pages, somewhere in there, so it shouldn't take you long to read it all.
Mine is also a book, 2, actually. Alfred Bester's The Star's My Destination, published in the U.S. as Tiger, along with his other book, The Demolished Man. He writes these 2 books. They're kind of proto-cyberpunk, proto-grimdark. You see a lot of precursors to what came later. But then he stopped writing science fiction and went and wrote for TV for 30 years before coming back to writing science fiction. He won his first Hugo Award. He won it, The Demolished Man. And if you're a really hardcore science fiction fan, you will recognize the name because Walter Koenig's character in Babylon 5 is named Alfred Bester in honor of Alfred Bester, the science fiction author, and more importantly for them, TV writer. It's a revenge story, so that's mine.
And since I'm a huge nerd, it makes me think with Tiger of the inspiration from the William Blake poem, Tiger Burning Bright.
It's called that because that poem is quoted on page 1 of the book.
Well, there you go. Obviously, I have not read this.
That's it for us this time. Thank you for hanging out with us at Tom's Diner, and we'll see you next time, Chinoos.
Thanks.